initially, if you roll the clock back a decade, we didn't have it. Every financial crisis we've had, right, in the history of the world, and we've had 10,000 of them. There have been 10,000 currency collapses, from the Lydians to the Athenians to the Spartans to the Romans to the Venetians, you know, to the Brits multiple times, to the Carthaginians. You know, you could just go on, and the Persians, and go on and on and on and on. And the history is full of examples of an empire rises, someone mints a currency, the successors or the children of the conqueror debase the currency, the grandchildren debase it more, the great-grandchildren forget how they actually got the power, they spend everything, go wacky crazy. Pretty soon the economy collapses, you can't pay your soldiers, they all defect, and the barbarians come over the gate and they take everything, including your debased gold. They melt it down, they purify it, they mint their own coin, and the cycle starts again.
Michael Saylor is the king of Bitcoin. Not only does his public company, Microstrategy, own 152,800 Bitcoin, but Saylor personally owns 17,732 Bitcoin. Combined, this is worth a whopping $4.5 billion. He's truly gone all in. In his latest interview, he made a guarantee: the US dollar will collapse. This seems like an insane prediction coming from someone who literally studied rocket science at MIT. But Saylor argues if you look at history and the stats of fiat currency, the pattern is clear. Throughout history, every currency ever created goes to zero on a long enough time span. There are thousands of examples of this, some of the most famous being ancient Rome, revolutionary France, or the Weimar Republic of Germany following World War I. Empires that no one predicted would collapse at their peak, and all of their currencies eventually went to zero. It's not a matter of if the US dollar is going to collapse, but when. Luckily, there's now a way to opt out of the devaluation of your currency: Bitcoin. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where Saylor breaks down why he has so much conviction that Bitcoin will be the best performing asset on a 4, 6, and 10+ year time frame. Also guys, if you want to stay most up to date on the crypto world, I send out a daily 5-minute crypto newsletter that covers expert predictions, on-chain data breakdowns, and breaking news, all for free. Click the first link in the description, enter your email, and join over 5,000 others to become a better crypto investor right now. Now here's Saylor with his Bitcoin prediction.
So what is the lesson of that? The lesson is we're in the middle of chaos. There is no place to hide. Your choice is, you could buy gold, but gold is dead metal and it's just getting ground into the dirt, right? I can seize your gold. Gold is, the half-life of money in gold is 35 years. And you can't put gold on 8 billion iPhones. So the problem is there's no tech in gold, and it was a good idea in the 19th century, and it's centralized, governments can seize it, and the gold miners keep debasing it. They keep mining more gold. Right? In the best year, you get 2% more. In the worst year, someone seizes a bunch of gold, dump it on the market, you get more than 2%. So people are looking for a safe haven. What's it going to be? Property in Africa? Property in Venezuela? You can't have property in North Korea. Property in Argentina? A business? A business where? A business in Argentina where the currency collapses? What good are your cash flows if the currency that you generate the cash flows are collapses in value? So I think here's the big idea, really big idea. Everybody in the world has to decide where they're going to locate their family. They have to, physically, they have to decide where they're going to locate their themselves in cyberspace, their mind. Are you going to watch Facebook all day long? Are you going to read Twitter? Are you going to be on YouTube? You know, you're going to go to Rumble? Are you going to look at Instagram? Right? Where is your mind, right? And then the third question is, where is your business? Are you going to run a yoga studio in Miami? How about a yoga studio in New York? How about, you know, are you going to run a farm in Zimbabwe, a ranch in Argentina? Are you going to buy a company that has business interest in China? How about owning a bunch of businesses in Ukraine or Russia, right? So where is your P&L? Right, and the fourth big idea is, where is your balance sheet? Okay, you're a podcaster on YouTube. Okay, well, you better make sure that you comply with YouTube platform requirements. Otherwise, they turn off your podcast and they crimp your business. That's where you generate your revenue and you generate your cost. But now, where are you going to save your money? Are you going to save it in U.S. sovereign debt? Are you going to actually store it in gold? Are you going to buy land? Where? In California, in Ukraine, and Russia? Where? In Florida, right? Are you going to buy S&P index stocks? Are you going to buy Bitcoin? Are you going to buy art? So there were conventional answers to all these questions, Brian, and they kind of worked for, there was an answer to this question before 1914. There was an answer to this question between Bretton Woods and 1971. There was an answer to this question from 1971 till the year 2020. In 2020, it's like, oh, the answer, 60-40 bond portfolio, buy the S&P index and like a portfolio of diversified bonds and you're good. Okay, there was an answer. The answer kind of got confusing after 2020. The answer got confusing for a lot of businesses, for a lot of people. And so highlight of the year, the highlight of the year is people were stunned from March of 2020 to March of 2021. And from March of 21 through the middle of 2022, they're all starting to get their bearings. And they're like, well, I guess, what is Bitcoin, a digital commodity? Do I have to deal with that? Well, now Fidelity's talking about rolling out the 34 million retail accounts. You've got the government embracing crypto assets, saying we better figure it out. Congress, senators getting educated on it. The CFTC, the SEC getting educated on it. Big institutional investors starting to take Bitcoin positions. The media now you've got Bloomberg covering crypto. You've got CNBC covering crypto. You've got an entire world, media analysts, politicians, financiers, and they're all starting to figure this out. But I still say we're early, right? This paradigm shift takes a decade. And maybe the first decade was the embers of a flame flickering from 2009 to 2020. And then from 2020, we started pouring gasoline on that flame, right? The gasoline in the US is we triple the inflation rate, monetary inflation. But forget about that. Maybe you're a blue blood living on the Upper East Side with a trust fund and you just don't see why you need it. The gasoline in Sri Lanka is everybody lost everything overnight. The gasoline in Lebanon is the bank freezes their doors and you lose all your money. The gasoline in Argentina is the peso goes from 20 pesos to the dollar to 280 pesos to the dollar in 4 years, right? The gasoline in Ukraine is oops, there's a war. Banks are, there's a limit to how much money you can withdraw. And the gasoline in Russia is, okay, I get, the stuff you thought you owned in Europe, you don't own that anymore. We're taking that from you, taking your gold, taking your bonds, taking your yachts, taking your villas. So there's a lot of people with a 2x4 to the head, and they're all stunned, and they're all trying to figure it out. And there's this colorful debate, a political debate, a media debate, a debate on YouTube, a debate on Twitter. What's the solution? And the only thing we can all agree on is we probably need to look at some new ideas because the old ideas just don't work anymore. And there's no intellectually honest person that would say, yeah, everything I believed in 2019 or 2018, it's all still true. I haven't changed any of my opinions about anything. I mean, everybody's had a place in their life where they've been jarred and stunned, and now they're trying to make sense of it. So the question is, how do we move forward? And to summarize on Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin is it's very volatile. It's getting jerked around. All risk assets are getting jerked around. If you look at one of the more interesting things, right? The 2 year, the 2 year treasury was 16 basis points a year ago, and it's currently like 3.9%. We went from 16 basis points to 390 basis points on short-term money. The mortgage rate on a 30-year mortgage, has gone from 2.7% to 6% in 12 months, right?
Crazy.
The yield curve is inverted. You get paid higher interest on a 2-year loan to the federal government than on a 30-year loan. The 30-year loan is 350 basis points. So summary of all this, it's this, we had an unprecedented expansion of the money supply in March of 2020, where we just pegged interest rates to zero. And the bankers said, we're going to keep interest rates at zero for the next 4 years. They literally implied, they said, not until 2024 will we raise interest rates. Okay, well, that's one panic. And now we've got the other extreme, which is the fastest tightening of the money supply, like one of those oh crap moments. Oops, I think we overdid it on one side. Now we overdid it on the other side. And what you see is risk assets, they're all getting hammered down, Bitcoin included. But look, all financial assets, bonds hammered 20%, NASDAQ hammered 30%, S&P, gold hammered, silver hammered, and Bitcoin hammered. But on the other hand, tangible assets, oil, natural gas, food, any type of energy, they're all shooting up. Right. And I think people are going through this moment where they're like, I guess I'm going to freeze to death or starve to death unless I have some of that tangible commodity stuff. And the financial stuff, I guess I'll trade it. And meanwhile, the politicians, they play with the little knobs, attempting to do good. And it turns out that it's very difficult for humanity, for any human being, to actually make adjustments fast enough and intricately enough so that they can do good without probably doing more harm than good. And that's where we find ourselves right now. If I have an increment of $10 million of cash flow, do I put it into bonds? Do I put it into gold? Do I buy silver? Do I buy land? Do I buy art? Do I buy Bitcoin? So I still think Bitcoin is the most scarce, most desirable, highest quality property. It's a long-term store of value. So I think generally for us, we've adopted a very simple strategy. We keep enough working capital to last us a year, normally in the range of about $50 million in US dollars. And then when we have excess cash, either from operating income or any other financing opportunity, we put that into our treasury reserve asset. And we have adopted Bitcoin as our primary treasury reserve asset. So we're 100% treasury reserves in Bitcoin. You might decide that you're going to split your treasury reserves 1/3 property, 1/3 art, 1/3 Bitcoin, or 1/3 S&P stocks or something, right? It's a preference for an individual or an investor. But of course, our company, Microstrategy, has adopted a Bitcoin strategy, and we have transparently communicated that to all of our outside shareholders, and that is in our 10K filing. So when someone buys Microstrategy stock, they know what they're getting. They don't want us to hedge or juggle 16 different assets. So if I showed up and said, hey, I found it, we can buy a Picasso and I got a good deal on it, we think that's better than Bitcoin, all my shareholders would freak out because they don't want to invest in an art hedge fund or a real estate hedge fund. They want someone that's got a Bitcoin strategy. So from a corporate point of view, it's the right thing for us to do. I personally think it's the highest quality property in the world, and I think it will appreciate the best over time. And as I pointed out to you, it has performed the best in the past 2 years versus every other option.
So there's the Bitcoin king himself, Michael Saylor, on why Bitcoin is his number one. His conviction in Bitcoin is clear, and with a track record like his, it's hard to ignore his predictions. Just a reminder, if you believe, as Saylor says, that the history of fiat currencies paints a clear picture, or even if you're just crypto curious, you'll want to dive deeper into this world. Remember, my daily 5-minute crypto newsletter is there to guide you every step of the way. It's comprehensive, concise, and absolutely free. Join the community by clicking the first link in the description below. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all on the next one, and as always, all the best.